the lighting is better this time. Hello. I'll wait just a few minutes to see if anyone else comes. I'll vamp for you. All right, looks like we got some. Okay, I'll start. So, hey, thank you guys. I haven't been on here for a while. I had a really interesting experience yesterday. Don't worry, I know some people were like, "Are you banned now or something?" I'm not. I'm not going anywhere. I was just trying to be very careful. But so, hello. Hi, Sarah from Minnesota. Hi, hi. And I'll do better this time with if I see a question and I answer it, I'll try to make sure I read it out loud. So I wanted to talk about an experience I had yesterday. I went out with some local Los Angeles people and we had a table. We set up right in the middle of West Hollywood. We had a big sign that said, "Recall Gavin Newsom," and we signed people up. We had the petition or petition papers, and we signed a lot of people up. So I wanted to tell you about that. It was a really cool experience, really, really cool. And then we'll talk about the impeachments. And I listened to, do you guys know who Scott Adams is? Clean off your dark. Hi, Brian. Happy Clean Off Your Desk Day. If you could see the other end of my desk, it was a funny day the other day. Okay, so and then so anyway, I watched Scott Adams. He had a live stream today that I watched, and he was talking about cancel culture and just woke culture and how Republicans or just people on the other side are doing really bad at fighting back on that. And he had a really funny take, and I think he's completely right. But first, let me tell you about yesterday. So I had, after the last live stream, I was all positive, and then my week just went to crap. Yes, Scott Adam does Dilbert. I love him. So I just had a really, really bad week. I had like personal stuff and then just everything. And I was playing around online and I saw that some local people were going out and advocating for California to be open back up. They had something they called Recall Wednesdays, where they go and they just set up booths and like around Los Angeles, and they get people to sign the recall petition. So I reached out. I found this guy that was involved in it, and I reached out to him and I was like, "How can I help?" And he was like, "Well, we're going out tomorrow. Where do you live? What about Mayor Garcetti? Should he be recalled?" I don't like him either. Yeah, he's the jerk that was telling everyone to that he was going to cut off their power, yet was just allowing protests. And we had so many protests here while he was threatening other people that they were going to that he was going to shut down their power. Thoughts? Okay, Sarah, thoughts on the state paying these businesses to be closed or be limited in capacity? Yikes. I don't know. Well, yesterday when we were out, so we were right in the middle of West Hollywood, and we had that recall sign, and we were signing a bunch of people up. And some of the businesses that we were around actually came by and said, "Oh my God, thank you so much." They were offering to buy us drinks when we were gone. Like, they were so happy to see us and so happy that we did something. So I would say that for those businesses, no. But I honestly, I had this thought. I honestly do. I'm thinking that there's probably a lot of underground stuff that's opened up, and I know for sure that the Chateau Marmont, if you don't know what the Chateau Marmont is, it's a really historic, like, old hotel. A lot of celebrities hang out there. It's really beautiful. It's Anthony Bourdain on his show. He said that was his favorite hotel in the whole world. They actually closed at the beginning of the pandemic. They closed to the public. So they were only having residents that stayed in there. And I sort of had this thought. I'm like, I wonder this is purely my thought. This is not real. This is just an idea that I had, but I was like, I wonder if they're closing it off, and certain people that don't want to stay in their homes during the quarantine, or certain people that um, still want to be social, they kind of go there. And I was like, I wonder if the whole time, like, their restaurant was open and their bars were open, because they weren't letting anyone else on the outside really come in. It was only people that were staying there as residents. So I kind of had that thought, and I know there's a few things that are underground. Um, but the cool thing about this, it was really awesome because so we posted up right in the middle of West Hollywood, and we were all clearly Republicans. It was very clear, and West Hollywood, super liberal. And we were posted up, but you would be so surprised about just all the people that were so happy to see us, all the cars that were honking. Just met some really amazing people. And my favorite was this woman who came. She was a Russian woman in her 60s, and she came up to us and she goes, "Oh my God, thank you so much. Thank you so much." She goes, I know communist societies, and I'm so scared, and Gavin needs to go, and all of this stuff. And she stayed with us for the longest time. She called her daughter and her daughter's friend, and they came out to sign. It was a really cool experience. We had a few agitators. It was so funny. One lady drove by and she was like screaming at us from her car, and she was like, "People are dying," and just going nuts. And she was like, "Why are you doing this? Why do you want to get rid of us?" And literally there's a homeless man passed out next to us. We're around like all these businesses that are shut down, and we just looked at her and we go, look around, look at everything. This is why we want him to go. But so far on the so far on the petition, there's 1.1 million people that have signed to recall Gascon, or Gascon. Oh my gosh, that's another recall effort. I'll tell you about that in a second. There's 1.1 million people already, and we got a ton of people yesterday that signed the petition, and you need 1.5, and we have till March 17th. So I mean, there's a chance. That's a lot of people to have on the petition already, 1.1 million. We also have, you guys have heard, yeah, we have also a new DA in Red Band. I don't know if you know about him, but George Gascon, he's our new district attorney. He is just the worst. His first day in office, he gave, if you've been watching my channel, we've talked about him before, but his first day as DA, he was giving all these special directives to stop special enhancements, which are like gang, really violent crime involving like guns and stuff like that. And he was using criminal justice reform as a reason to do this. But what's happening right now is all of these violent criminals are just being let out. And there's a Facebook page called Recall Gascon. And he got elected in on the November 3rd election. So he's new in office. And before you can officially recall someone, it has, petition. We do need petition harvesting. Sarah, when the vid's finished, you should add the recall website to your description. Okay, I will. You can go on the Recall Gavin website, and I would recommend too, just to see what's going on, go on the Recall Gascon website or the Recall Gascon Facebook page. I'll link that in it as well, just because it's really fascinating to see what's going on. People are figuring out how these people are getting elected. For instance, George Gascon, our DA that got elected, he ran on criminal justice reform. And so a lot of people voted for him, and he promised people that he was not going to let violent criminals go, that it was going to be purely for criminal justice and purely for the safety or public safety. That's what he said. But what's happening is we're seeing violent criminals be let back on the street, or people are not being charged with what they should be charged in. And so the whole Facebook page is just families of victims just talking about their stories and how these people are getting let off. There's, I believe, lawsuits against him. DAs in other districts are writing letters to him, condemning him, basically. So it's fascinating. But the cool thing about it is that people are starting to realize how these people get elected into office. They're like, oh, George Soros gave him $2.4 million. Oh, John Legend endorsed him. And they were like, oh, every time I go on TV, the only ad I see is George Gascon's. And that goes back to all the money that was pumped into his campaign. So it's so interesting to see even that, even the people that voted for him are realizing like, wow, I made a mistake, and wow, I'm now realizing why I voted for him or what caused me to vote for him. Let me see if I can. Yep. We will never shut up. They're going down. I recently sorry, I'm going to do better at reading these out loud. Hold on. We will never shut up. They are going down. I recently received a Gavin recall petition in the mail. Keep shining your light. Oh, thank you very much. It was so, I was not having a good week. I had it with everything, and it wasn't a good week, but it was so nice being out in LA. You know, we're in the middle of West Hollywood. We didn't have our masks on because here you can't go anywhere without your mask on. We didn't have our mask on, and we were just standing there, and we were free. And some people got mad at us. Some people were really happy or most people were really happy that we were there. And it was such an incredible feeling. And the people that I met were such great people. And what it showed me and what I wanted to share with you guys is that there's so many good people out there, and so many people are fighting, and so many people see what's going on. So many people that just a few years ago didn't see what is going on are seeing what's going on now. And yes, there's still a lot of, darkness. There's still a lot of all kinds of crazy things around us, but there's also a lot of good people that are waking up and that are doing things. So that's good. Now I want to talk about impeachment, because let me know, what do you guys think about the second impeachment of Donald Trump? Because first I thought it made me angry. I was like, what in the heck are they doing? They're doing this again at this time because he's eight days out of office. It's going to do nothing. It's pure political theater. And then I thought about it, and the more I thought about it, I just think it's hilarious. And I think this is perfect for Donald Trump. He's the only president in history that's ever had two impeachments, which is just, that's how Donald Trump rolls. Like he's going to have more impeachments than any president in history. And we were joking today on Twitter, like, can we go for three? But what it does is it just makes the Democrats look like clowns. I don't know if you saw them in the House talk. Was it in the House? Whatever. But I don't know if you saw them talking during the impeachment hearings, but it was, will there be a Senate? No. Well, okay. So Redban is asking, will there be a Senate trial before Biden's inauguration, or there will be a Senate trial before Biden's inauguration, right? Or am I wrong? I don't, someone correct me if I'm wrong, but what I thought is that they weren't meeting back until January 19th. So it literally does nothing. So they won't even be meeting. It's a dumb reason. Yeah, it is a dumb reason to impeach him, but that's why it's so funny. And I was watching Scott Adams earlier today, and this was his take on it. And he's kind of right. He goes, if Donald Trump only had one impeachment, then if you looked at that, you would be like, wow, man, he did something really bad to get one impeachment. And then you see the other impeachment that's happening 8 days before he's leaving office. And that's what makes everything just illegitimate and makes it look like a joke and a clown show. Sarah, you are such a bright, oh, thank you. I'm embarrassed to read my compliments out loud. The Dems are clowns for sure. Oh, for sure. And they're making themselves even more clowns now. It's like, guys, come on. If we're all doing wonderful, if we're all like thriving and doing well, and we all have jobs and we're all making money and there's not a pandemic, if you want to go play political theater, go play political theater. I don't care what you do as long as I'm cool. But if you're taking away other people's rights and their jobs and this and that, and there's a pandemic and people are passing away or dying, and you should all wear censored masks. I know, I thought about buying one. and that's what you're doing in office when it's not going to do it. Like, that's what you're doing. They're overplaying their hand at this point, and I'm so glad I'm none of them. I'm just so glad I'm none of them. But that's how I feel. I think the impeachments are absolutely hilarious. And actually, there was new news too. I'm going to read it to you. This just came out. I don't know if you guys heard. Hold on, it's on my phone. I'm just looking for it. I'm jumping all over the place, and I apologize because I start talking and then I get on to something else. So this just came in, which is pretty crazy. So FBI arrests Antifa leader John Sullivan in Utah for storming the U.S. Capitol. So I don't know if you remember that, and I'm not saying that it was all Antifa. I don't believe that. I think there were some agitators as far as the Capitol building. So this kid was just arrested, and he was that Antifa guy who was trying to say that he was a journalist and he was there doing journalisming. Well, he's actually on camera enticing people to do things, like encouraging people to go do things. So this guy just right before I started. So look it up. What's his name? Hold on. Was it John Sullivan? Is that what I said? Yeah, John Sullivan. So look up his name and read that story, but that's pretty funny. Yeah. Oh, and he was on CNN right after this. So now everyone's like, is CNN inciting violence? But he was on CNN right after this, and they were like, oh, you're so brave for going in there and filming. And he was like, I know, I'm so brave for filming. And now he's in trouble. So there's that. Okay. And okay. So another cool thing that happened yesterday when I was out, when I was with the people, getting others to sign the petition, is a guy who is running for governor of California. So he's running for governor of California in 2022, and his name is Major Williams. He came and spent the entire day with us when we were out there getting people to sign petitions. He was super nice. And I'm just going to read you. I don't know a whole lot about him because that was the first time I met him. But if you pay attention to some of the rallies that happen in Beverly Hills, you might have seen him there. He's very out and he's very public. But I met him yesterday. Really nice guy, really cool guy, like hung out with us all day, talked to everyone. And again, he's running for governor in California in 2022. And I just want to read you something off of his Instagram. And he says, when I become governor, we plan to launch a forensic audit and track every single taxpayer dollar and restore our spending habits. Wasteful spending will cease. California will become business friendly again. And I will, for a moment, be very unpopular on my aggressive policies to remedy our homeless crisis. Businesses will be protected in the future, and our kids can attend schools without big pharma vaccines being pushed on them. I am only one person, but God is greater than all in my path. Will be what he says, and I am okay with that 100%. I do not fear voter fraud. Our team and support are growing with huge players you'd never think a year ago that would support our campaign. But like so many others, as they see it, they had an opportunity to feel it and witness it and the love around the state for this campaign. We don't look like anyone else. We don't move like anyone else. And we truly are for the people. This is who I am. And this is who we will strive to become. And we can restore our amazing state. So I don't know, this guy, I obviously have to look at his policies and stuff like that. I like to be an informed voter and be informed on who I'm around. But, he had a lot of hope, and that gave me a lot of hope, and a lot of hope for the state of California. That's when I went out. Ivanka Trump needs to run for 2024. She would definitely have killed it. I have so much respect for her. I really enjoy watching her speeches a lot. Okay, but I want to get to the fun part. I want to get to Oh, I do have to share one thing. This is really funny, and I'm totally stealing this concept from Adam Carolla. So Adam Carolla was giving examples of how Gavin Newsom runs the state of California, and I'm using his method, but I'm using my own analogy. So again, I'm stealing this from Adam Carolla. But the way that Gavin Newsom runs our state, it's almost like we are this beautiful sports car, like really nice looking on the outside, but there's no engine. And instead of fixing the engine, Gavin Newsom is like, guys, let's put a racing stripe on the side. Like that's how he runs this state. Meanwhile, when he's putting a fancy racing stripe on the side of the car, you open the hood and there's no engine. It's just a homeless man. So that's how Gavin Newsom runs our state. Okay, but I want to talk about just like wokeness and what's been happening with the Republicans and in Congress. And again, I watched Adam Scott earlier this morning, and he was talking about it. And I don't know if you are a fan of his, but he always has a perspective that's just completely different than anything I've heard. And his perspective on this, I thought was amazing because I cannot say her name. Gullifoyle, Kimberly Guilfoyle, Gilly Philly, Gully, I don't know, wants to be the first lady. Roll again. Next. So Scott was talking about how sort of Republicans are failing with identity politics, and they are failing the fight with identity. Guilfoyle. Oh, Guilfoyle. Thank you. Guilfoyle. It's Kimberly Guilfoyle. So he was talking about how Republicans are basically failing with, I call her Grill Fullell. Is that how? Girl Fullell. Newsom should be swapped. LOL. She's his ex-wife. I didn't know that until this year. Kimberly Philly Guilfoyle. It's just not going to happen. She's his ex-wife. I didn't know that. All right. So he's talking about how Republicans are really what they really should be doing is, you know, the way you combat like identity politics that are happening right now in our Congress and in our Senate, and it's getting so bad. They're using identity politics to push their policies. They're using identity politics to push their arguments. They're automatically, like, all of them were calling what happened on Capitol Hill an issue of race and all of that. And they're constantly pushing all of this stuff. And Republicans, all they're doing is saying, well, you're a hypocrite. You're a hypocrite. And it's just not working. That argument isn't really going anywhere. It's not working. And it's not moving anything forward. Nothing is chasing. So what he was saying, and I thought this was really interesting, grilled falafel. Oh, that's it. Okay. Charles Patterson said grilled falafel. He got it. That's exactly how you're supposed to pronounce it. Grilled falafel. Okay. So Kimberly grilled falafel. That's way easier. But he was just saying how this argument of you're a hypocrite, especially with all the violence that we saw over the summer. I mean, I personally got caught in the middle of the riots that happened here in LA, and it was one of the scariest experiences of my life. My car was surrounded by it must have been around 100 people. I don't know. Nothing happened to me. I was fine, but it was terrifying. And I had already seen all the windows busted out, all the spray paint, the cars on fire, the cars that were abandoned in the middle of the road. So, I mean, it was terrifying. And that's one of the reasons why I've been so outspoken about all of the riots and stuff that's been happening all summer. And the Democrats have been denying that it's happening. They've been encouraging it. And now all of a sudden something happens on Cap Hill and, oh, you know, Trump is inciting violence and this and that. And meanwhile, they allowed this to happen all summer, even encouraged it. What's her name? I just blanked on her name. Kamala Harris even set up bail for some of these rioters to get out of jail. And now all of a sudden they love cops and they love law enforcement and they love the National Guard and they love public safety, but all summer they didn't. So, he was basically saying, if you want to defeat this culture, then just aggressively comply by their rules. Don't call them hypocrites. Just aggressively fight by their rules. So, okay. And this might be a controversial stance, but it's like, okay, so if we're impeaching Trump, then shouldn't we impeach everyone? Like, shouldn't we impeach just everyone who was complicit in everything that happened all summer? And also, like, shoot, if this is a racist society, isn't that quite worrisome that the Speaker of the House is a white woman? Shouldn't we really reevaluate that? Maybe we should be really looking at, since, Biden is saying we need more diversity, we need this. Shouldn't we be maybe looking at everyone in Congress and really evaluating, maybe we need to, get rid of some of the white people and put more, minorities in, more women. And also, isn't it kind of concerning that, we live in this racist society built by old white men, and our president is an old white man? He's basically saying just be so aggressive with them at their own rules, and that will eventually shut everything down. And he goes, you might have a lot of all these stupid trials, but what's the alternative? The alternative's not much better. The alternative, in the end, leads to only violence. In the end, that's the only place identity politics can really go. And we've already been seeing that basically all summer. And the end of that was like Capitol Hill and what happened there. One of my favorite examples of that over the summer was I was watching this footage from a riot where this 22-year-old girl who was just, again, just typical, liberal college girl, probably doesn't have a job. She's like screaming at police and being aggressive at police and attacking them. And she finally gets arrested. And then she starts playing the woman card. And she's like, you're a man. How can you arrest? I'm just a woman. How can you do this to me? And he goes, how dare you assume my gender? You don't know I'm a man. And she just shut up. And that was my favorite example of that. It's also, and other few people that are really brilliant at that are Gadsad, the Gadfather, and James Lindsay is pretty brilliant with that. I'm always following him on Twitter. He's the one, he wrote all of those papers and some of them got accepted. One of them was, I think I have it written down, the conceptual penis as a social construct. He also rewrote a part of the I'm probably not saying it right, the Mein Kampf, and he used it as a feminist manifesto, and that was actually, he just changed some of the words to have it from a feminist perspective, and that actually got accepted by a women's publication, which was pretty funny. I'm going to look at what you guys are saying. I was taught if you play stupid games, you'll win stupid prizes. Yeah, absolutely. I always say, like, I feel bad. Mein Kampf. Oh, yeah, you're right. Mein Kampf. Yeah, if you play stupid games, you win stupid prizes. I know I always say I feel bad at these things when people get hurt and things like that, but that's why I stay away from them. I've seen the violence all summer, and, I was in the middle of it without even wanting to be in the middle of it. It's pronounced Mein Kampf. My story in German. Thank you. Hello. Okay. Woke culture. Oh, and that brings me to another thing. So talking about impeachment and talking about how, like, so Scott Adams' argument was like, people just need to go hard. Okay, they want to impeach everyone. They want to impeach for everything. Then Republicans start impeaching. And yeah, maybe that sucks for government, but it also sucks going the other way. And that brings me right back to that Georgia representative. I don't know if you heard about her. Her name is Mara Joey Taylor Greene, and she is pushing through with articles of impeachment for Biden. So on his first day of his presidency, she's going to be pushing that through. And she is she's a freshman from Georgia. She's a Republican. And when I first heard that, I was like, she needs to calm down. I don't think that's a good idea. I don't think that, playing their game is a good idea. But after listening to Scott's perspective, it kind of changed, and it might not go anywhere. It probably won't, as many of them do. But she's basically doing it for his ties and foreign people. And she had a quote, or for foreign countries, and she had a quote. She said, "We cannot have a president of the U.S. that is willing to abuse power of the office of the presidency and be easily bought off by foreign government." So I believe she's referring to China and other foreign interactions that he had. Yeah, I don't think it's going to go anywhere. But it gave me a different perspective on that. So what do you guys think about her doing this impeachment plan? Thank you. Crazy Nancy wants Sleepy Joe gone always. No, and especially with term limits, why do we have a woman in Congress who talks like this and who is 80? I don't like Biden, but if he's impeached, wouldn't that mean, I know that's what I was thinking. And then who's the next in line after that? Isn't that Nancy? There are grounds to impeach Biden, then exactly. There are grounds to impeach Biden is what he's saying, but then you have Harris as a president. Yeah. Pelosi is doing whatever improves the odds of blue ties. No, they do. And they made it so perfectly clear. That's why I think this whole impeachment thing is hilarious, because the people that were on, I know, the people that were on her side before, the people that were on the side of Democrats before, the people that you watch these trials and you're like, okay, what are you doing? So this person is saying, or Gonzalo, what grounds do you have to impeach Biden if you control no branch of the government? I don't know. I feel like that's a little over my pay grade. I don't know. I don't think it's going to go anywhere. But I mean, I guess I appreciate someone that wants to go in there and fight. But I don't know what it's going to go. I don't know where it's going to go. I can't stand her laugh, you guys. I can't stand Kamala Harris's laugh. I can't. And that's why I'm like, how am I gonna, making these videos, I'm like, how am I gonna talk about this stuff? It's so hard to watch them. I'm just gonna have to take one for the team. In order to impeach, you also have to have a case, meaning evidence, of which there is zero. Yeah. I mean, they did that with Trump. It is a cackle. Sorry, I'm just taking a sip. You know what I love? I'm jumping again. I forgot to tell you this, but so the person that I met up with to go to West Hollywood and sit at the table and put our sign up to have people come and sign Gavin Newsom's recall petition. I was on the phone with him before, and I was in this place where I was just feeling kind of defeated just anyway. And but I talked to him on the phone, and he goes, you can, speaking of us specifically here in California, he goes, you can move to a different state and get away from it, but it will eventually find you, or it'll eventually come. And unfortunately, I think he's right. So he's like, you can either do that or you can stay here and fight. So that's where I'm at right now. I've looked at places in Texas and I've looked at Nashville. So those two places are on my mind. But as far as right now, I'm staying and I'm fighting. And yesterday gave me a lot of hope, especially meeting the business owners all in the area. But there's a lot of good people. I know moving is a real pain, and I already did it 3 times this summer. And I lived in Venice Beach for about 3 or 4 months at the beginning of 2020. And Venice Beach is awful right now as far as the homeless population. And I can't tell you how many times I'm like, I'll just give you one example, but I'm standing on in a regular, residential type area. There's an elementary school over here. There's, just a little coffee shop, just a regular area of grocery or whatever. And a mom is sitting there. You'll see like just a regular, just middle class mom with her 7-year-old little girl or her 4-year-old little girl, and they're holding hands. They're getting ready to cross the street, and there's a homeless man right next to them with his shirt off. He's all dirty, and he's just screaming and yelling at nothing. And they're just sitting there normally, not reacting to anything because it's normalized to us now. That wasn't normalized 10 years ago. And I had this thought in my head recently. I'm like, so what else is going to be normalized 10 years from now? Like if we don't stop it now, what's going to be normal 10 years from now? If that wasn't normal 10 years ago, but it's normal now. Yeah. Runaway isn't going to do nothing but prolong it. No, you're right. What's your solution to homelessness? I think it is a very layered and very complicated problem. What I see a lot here in West Hollywood, just from observation, is a lot of drug use, and also living in Venice and observing there. I learned something really interesting. So if you talk to a lot of I'm just going to use Venice as an example. I'll use that because I actually studied that a little bit. So if you look at Venice Beach, for example, they make it so easy to be homeless. So if you were to go out there and talk to a lot of people that are in Venice, a lot of the homeless people in Venice, I can guarantee you that most of them are not from Venice. They come to Venice because it's easy to do whatever you want there. I can't tell you how many fights I would see with several of these homeless men, how many times their encampments catch on fire and there's no police around or anything, or they're just walking around blatantly doing drugs and there's no police, there's no accountability for everything. And the word gets out. They go where it's easy to do what you want. And I think there's some people that are down on their luck. I think there's some people that are mentally ill. I think people are homeless for a lot of different reasons. But what I see here a lot, what I see increasing, are the people that are just really strung out on drugs. And I learned this too. So there's something else in Venice, and I learned this last year. So there is something else where there's this new phenomenon where people are parking their vans on the side of the road, and or someone will get a lot of old vans, and you'll have a van lord, and they keep their vans parked there, and people live on them, and the van lord is like a landlord, and that happens a lot in Venice. And I noticed this happening, and I researched this and talked to a few people. There's actually a website that will tell you where you can go in the US, all over where you can go, and Venice is a hotspot, but they'll tell you where you can go and park your van, and you won't get in trouble. They won't make you move it. You won't get fined. And Venice is one of those places. I don't know the laws exactly, but Venice is one of those places. So people flock to Venice for that because they know they can do those things there and no one's going to bother. So, when you make things easy for people, they're going to come and do that. So one problem is, it's these like quality of life laws. And that's what California has been letting up on, are these sort of quality of life violations and quality of life laws, like, I guess like loitering or having a tent on the street or just certain things like that. So they've let up on all of those, which makes it easier to sort of live and not be bothered. I live in California. If I could move to Texas, Florida, I would. Oh yeah, Florida has been on my mind too. Okay, so Michael is asking, did they catch the guy who shot those officers in the car? That's interesting that you're asking that because, okay, so if you guys don't know, in Los Angeles, I think it was a few months ago, we had 2 officers that were ambushed. So I can't remember where they were exactly, but they were parked in their car. They were doing paperwork, and a man came up and just ambushed them, opened fire. There was a female cop and there was a male cop, and they were both, the female was in her 30s, the male was in his 20s. He opened fire on them. He got the girl in her jaw to the point where I don't know if she can talk right now, but she couldn't at the time. And the other officer, a male in his early 20s, I think, was shot in the head. So they survived. She is obviously going to have a lot of permanent damage. I think he's okay, but they're both going to still probably have a long road to recovery. But yeah, just ran up on them, shot, and then ran away. So he was caught, I think, a week or two or a few weeks after that. He's caught, he's in jail. But now that we have this new DA, George Gascon, these two officers actually just came out in the news again, because now that we have this new DA, George Gascon, he's going to get some of the special enhancement on his case would be the fact that he injured them with a gun. So under Gascon's new directives, he's going to get a much lighter sentence. And so a lot of people are really outraged over this. I'm not going to read that one out loud. I am a vet and have an idea. Yeah, and that's another thing too, actually, and those are the ones that I sympathize a lot more. So this, he just said, I'm a vet, and I now it's going up, but he said something along the lines of, I'm a vet and they need to help vets. Yeah, and that's another thing. We have a lot of homeless vets too. And what made me really sad, Maxine Waters. Anywho, Maxine Waters, in her district, she had a young man that was running and challenging her in her district. And I'm so sad that he lost, but one of his biggest missions was he wanted to help the homeless vets. And he lost to Maxine Waters because in her district, there's a lot of homeless vets. And that was one of his main missions. And he lost to her. And that really, really upset me. She's another one to me. Like you've been there. She's been in office too long, and her district is not doing very well at all. But she needs to impeach. It's all about impeachment because that's where the priority lies. Oh, and another thing I learned too in Los Angeles. So the past few years, this is something I had just been looking into. The past few years, we have had 5 city council members that were arrested for corruption. So yeah, LA has some nasty things going on, but they got arrested for corruption. Five of them in a matter of a few years. They all cheat in Los Angeles during elections. Yeah. And what makes me really sad too is Los Angeles has a lot of really cool historic buildings. And a lot of the corruption had to do with property and doing deals with tearing things down and building other things. So that really, that makes me mad. I think he was a vet. So Jose, you said, I think he was a vet. I used to live in Long Beach. We moved because I didn't speak. Jose, are you talking about the guy that was running against Maxine? My idea is to put vets on U.S. property needing upkeep that they can place to stay in a job that properly gets them upkeep. Yeah. But it's just tricky. And a lot of people, and what really bothers me is when you try to have these conversations with people, even homelessness, like people get so emotional and because they want to be compassionate and all of those things. So it's hard to have a meaningful conversation that moves forward because it's just people get just too emotional. And and again, I don't think there's a one solution to it. I think there's a lot of different things, but I think you can start with looking at, some of our laws. For instance, one of them you could look at is the van thing. I think they need to do a lot of things with that. Look at the van situation while they're just allowed to park on the side of the street and there's van lords just renting out vans to people. And yeah, I got thank you. 90 likes. Thank you guys. I'm just reading some of these. I saw a video of Maxine Waters talking about the I don't know what the Iran-Contra stuff. I actually don't know what that is. The VA actually has some really good programs for homeless vets, but many do not take advantage many times of their addiction and mental illness issues. I discovered that too. I used to work I don't know if I told you guys, I used to work in psychiatric hospitals. And I worked with teenagers, I worked with adults, and I worked with a lot of runaway teens. And I noticed when I worked there, and I know they're different than older people. Um, well, hold on, let me finish and I'll answer you, Red Band. I'm jumping. Um, I what I noticed is that a lot of people didn't want help because when you're staying at a shelter, you can't bring other things, like you can't bring your drugs in. You can't. They A lot of these people, they don't want rules. They want to do their own thing. Not all of them for sure, but there's definitely a group of them that don't want help. They want to live on the street. They don't want anyone to tell them what to do. They don't. They want to. And a lot of them have addictions, and you can't bring that stuff into a shelter. You have to be straight. So they choose not to go to shelters. They would much rather be on the street. And there are a lot of people like that. Red Band asked how far I am to 6,000. Right after the election, I just kind of plateaued. And some of that was my fault because I wasn't consistent with videos. So my goal is to be a lot more consistent with videos and information. And some of that was just I needed to be in a better headspace. And I apologize for not being consistent, but I wanted to get myself into a good place. I was just shocked by everything. So I just wanted to make sure that I was putting good things out and it was coming from a good place. But I need 100, I need a little less than 100 more subscribers and then I'll hit 6,000. But yeah, it's just kind of plateaued. I think I need like 90 something. Do I watch the Colbert Report? No, I don't. I used to like Colbert. I used to love him. And he actually wrote a really funny book. It was a satirical book a long time ago. But I just haven't paid any attention to him recently. So I have no idea. I don't think I like him as much as I used to. One of my favorite things he said in his book, he I bought it too. I'm such a nerd. I bought this when I was like, what was I doing? I bought it when I was like 18. What am I doing buying political books? Thank you, Red Band. I bought Stephen Colbert's book when I was like 18, and he just had some funny stuff. He was like, guys, climate change. Is it really that bad? Do we really need crocodiles and alligators? Like, is it so bad if Iceland is actually ice and if Greenland is actually green? I mean, and then his take on border security is that we just need to put a bunch of old men down there and they'll just tell everyone to get off their lawns and that can be our border security. No, the Colbert Report is one of the last few independent journalists of a lot of valuable info. I'll check him out. I just haven't watched him recently, but I'll definitely check him out. I don't know. Thank you. Whitney Webb and James. Oh, Corbett. James Corbett. Oh my God. I totally read that wrong. I thought you were talking about Stephen Colbert. Excuse me. You're talking about Corbett. I actually think James Corbett is really funny. And so he does, I had sort of a fangirl moment. I had an audition on is he CBS? The lot, that's right. I haven't been out, guys, in so long. I haven't been around the Grove. I think it's the CBS lot, right? Colbert on Comedy Central was funny. Jon Stewart was not as entertaining for me. Yeah, Colbert was way funnier than Stewart. I went to James films at it's CBS, right? He films at the CBS lot, I believe. So I had an audition at the CBS lot, and it was this really cheesy soap opera. I'm not going to say what it was. And the part was really funny. And I was supposed to be a mom, and the kid that he like looked older than it just didn't. Anyway, the kid looked older than me, but I went to audition for this soap opera. And when I was walking on the lot, I walked by I walked by his car where he does carpool karaoke, and they were setting it up. And Britney Spears just did it. And I walked by and I was like, Britney Spears was in that car. don't make fun of me. I like Britney Spears. So I had a fangirl moment. But it was really cool. It was cool to see how they set the cameras up in the car. Like the whole back was just like camera equipment and video equipment. It was cool. No, it wasn't wait, was it the bolt in the, now I don't remember because that was so long ago. But it was really funny. I practiced my you have to practice your long stare, like the long dramatic stare. I think you said cheesy. I think I'm misunderstanding the people that you're talking about. She was cool back in the day. Brittany was cool back in the day. I'm misunderstanding, I think, the names that you're saying again. Okay, I will look up James Corbett. I think, again, I misunderstood. Not the guy from the CBS show. Okay, well, now you have a completely unrelated story because I'm misunderstanding everything. James Corbett. Okay, I'll look him up. Is James Corbett the Corbett Report? Is he a commentator? Don't make fun of me. But right now, I'm actually really liking. Thank you. You're welcome for the story. I'm really liking. I love Gadsad. He just makes me really happy. I love. Is it Jonathan Turley? He's pretty good. I love James Lindsay. James Lindsay just really makes me laugh. I don't know what is he? I don't know, but he makes me laugh a lot. And they, Gadsad and James Lindsay are so brilliant at how they troll people, and so many people take them seriously. It just cracks me up. Okay, guys. Does anyone have any questions? Otherwise, I might get off. Let's see. Well, I'll stay for 9 more minutes. What else happened today? Okay, somebody in the comment section might have had it right. Most of what I auditioned for, it may or may not have been. I don't want to. Well, no, I don't want to say that. Okay, tell me if you. So someone asked, do I ever play other instruments beside the ukulele? I have bongos, but I'm still learning how to use them. It's hard because you have to have an ear for rhythm. They seem like they're really easy to play, but I was trying to learn a calypso beat. It's like a really specific kind of beat. And I just got a little stuck on it. So I haven't been on my bongos in a while. And I also have a foot tambourine. So I'm trying to play that with my uke. I think that would be pretty cool. And I have the guitar back there. I don't play the guitar. That's actually my dad's guitar. He passed away a while ago. I have that one. And then my sister has his electric guitar. He actually built his electric guitar from scratch, but he was a genius guitar player. He was also, well, I guess we'll do stories now. He was also a race car driver, and I always have the joke, my childhood was very much like Talladega Nights. My dad was a race car driver, and his name is Ricky Lee Sansoni, and he raced stock cars, and he used to take me to Applebee's and Hooters and hit on all the waitresses all the time. Bongo, okay, hold on. It's not going to be anything. It's just going to be me hitting them. Hold on. Ricky Bobby, yeah. No, my dad, his name, they might need to be tuned. I'm telling you, I haven't played them in a long time. My dad, this is what's funny about my dad. So his name is Ricky Lee Sansoni. His legal name is not Richard. It's Ricky. That's his legal name. They don't sound very good. Oh. Britney Spears had no rhythm either? Yes, she did. Hold on, it's hard to play in my chair, y'all. Yeah, that's about as good as I can do. I would give myself an 11. So, Red Band just asked, on a scale of 1 to 10, what would you give yourself? That was for sure an 11, and you can't convince me of anything else. Oh, that kind of. A Hooters I went to before got blew up in the Nashville What? Oh, it got blew up in that. How crazy was that? Jose Martinez just said the Hooters in Nashville got blown up on the bomb that happened on Christmas. Well, that's a travesty. That actually sounds better. I know, and I'm really mad at myself because I've had them here the whole quarantine, and I'm like, why didn't I just try to learn them? I still like Hooters wings. My dad took me to a Hooters when I was a little girl, and my preschool teacher was our waitress. She was really nice. Do I do much acting work these days? So last year I was actually on a show that was on Blaze TV. That's Glenn Beck's network. And we were called News Done Right, and we were just this really silly, like, and we called ourselves dumb. That's not me talking about it, but we had what's in the mug? Oh, it's the water. We had a sketch comedy show, and we did kind of conservative style sketch comedy, and it was on Blaze TV for a while, but our contract ran up with them on the new year, and then we shot a movie, and that was the Bernie Sanders movie. We shot that, and we got lucky. We wrapped right before everything got shut down, days before, which was probably really lucky for them because they were able to finish the film, or able to edit the film together. But as far as acting work, no, my son loves Hooter. He doesn't know why. He will one day. But most of what I do on camera acting, so I did that. And that obviously has been on hiatus this whole time. And the team that I work with, they fly out here out of Vermont. They're based in Vermont. So, and most of what I audition for is animation, which I haven't booked anything since the lockdown, but I've been really busy auditioning with that. I have one, and sometimes I get worried because I audition for, you know how it's like in Hollywood. So sometimes I'm like, I wonder if they're going to Google my name and then see my unpopular ideas, and then they're not going to hire me, which is very possible, but that's okay. But I've been auditioning. I've been very busy with auditions for animation, which is awesome because I've been able to do that during the pandemic, and it's kept me sane and busy because they just had everything go from going in the studio at home, which is the beauty of voiceover or animation. So I can just do my auditions at home and send them in. And then in order for you to be eligible for a job, you just have to show them that you have certain at-home recording requirements, which I do. So that's been pretty cool, and it's kept me busy. And even if I don't book those jobs, they're always fun to do, and they're fun to read. I auditioned for SpongeBob before. So someone just said you sound like you could be on SpongeBob. I auditioned for, there was like a spin-off of SpongeBob. I don't know if it ever came out. There was a spin-off of SpongeBob that was like the younger version of them. And I can't remember what part I auditioned for it. It was like a main. I don't really watch it. Thank you. Someone said, I love your views on politics, Sarah. Thank you. All right, you guys, I think I'm going to go. Dianne Feinstein, 87 years old, term. Wait, is Dianne Feinstein still in politics? If so, like, retire. My baby sister can memorize the Disney movies and commercials and stuff. She should have been a voice actress. It is really cool. Like I honestly don't like really book that much at all because it's so competitive, but it's really cool because so many of these shows they bring back so many characters that I read for are characters that I grew up watching, and there is something like kind of I'm getting cheesy, but there is something really magical about reading for some of these characters, and it's so fun. And it's not the same cattiness and like like jealousy and competitiveness that you see in on-camera acting at all. Are you a Chinese honeypot? But I don't know what that is. Did I just read something inappropriate? I don't know what that is. How is the recall going on Gavin Newsom? Glenn, we have 1.1 million signatures. We were in West Hollywood yesterday getting people to sign up, and we got a lot of signatures. I don't know roughly how many. I mean, when I say a lot, we probably got like 100 or something. You have to go out there a lot. You have to understand too, like we're still locked down, so you're not getting as much foot traffic in all these places. But we got a lot of people. So I mean, I think 1.1 million is pretty impressive. Ugh. Thank you. Special K on acid. All right, guys. Eric Swalwell. Okay. Yeah, Eric Swalwell had one of those. What was it? Yes, he did. And no one's doing investigations on him. Anywho, all right, you guys, I'm gonna go. Thank you so much for everyone that came. That was really fun. That wasn't as planned out as I wanted it to be, so it was a little all over the place, but I'm getting better at these, and I would like to do more of them at least once a week, and more videos will be coming out. I have a lot of stuff I want to do. Okay. All right, bye, you guys. Thank you so much, everyone. Happy New Year to you. Thank you, Special K on acid. You sound great to be a voice actress in video games. I've auditioned for a few video games. Okay, I'm just gonna say one more thing and then I'll go. My my voiceover agent, they when I first signed with them, they had me read for everything, even the stuff that I was just not right for at all. And I think they were doing that to really like to challenge me and to find like where my sweet spot was. So, I most of what I read for, I'm like my sweet spot is like like 8 to 10 year olds and teenage girls and stuff like that, which is really fun. But they had me read for everything, and they were having me read for like these like games like I don't know video games, but those like military fighter games that everyone's really into. They would have me read for that for for like these military officer women that are like really strong and scary. And Samsoni, the Italian, well, you can't say that, but they would have me read for these characters, and I would go in and I would do the best I can, but I would have to laugh at myself because I sounded ridiculous reading for these characters. And I was like, I wonder if they listen to these and they're like, oh, that military officer is adorable. She's so cute. Not scary, but cute. All right. Okay, now I'm gonna go. Bye, you guys. Thank you so much. That was really fun. And I'll see you really, really soon. I really appreciate everyone that liked, everyone that is commenting and all that good stuff. Good night. Good night. Okay. Bye, you guys.